Welcome back to the Vandy Sports Podcast. I'm Joey Dwyer here after Vanderbilt's 69-53 loss at the hands of Kentucky. It's Vanderbilt's 14th straight loss to Kentucky and their largest margin of defeat on the season. So although Kentucky's had somewhat of a down year and Vanderbilt's starting to kind of get going, kind of at a crossroads here, kind of a harsh reality as to where the program stands in comparison to the league's top teams. Kentucky packed this gym tonight. Felt like there were more Kentucky fans in here than Vanderbilt fans, and just kind of a harsh reminder that Vanderbilt has taken a bit of a step here in conference play, but they have plenty more steps to take before they're on the level of a Kentucky, before they can compete with a Kentucky, and just felt like Vanderbilt was completely outclassed tonight. And you haven't felt that way a lot this season. You felt that way against Alabama, maybe one or two other games, but tonight just felt like a completely different animal. Vanderbilt lost by 16. The most it had lost previously by was 12. Just felt like Vanderbilt didn't have enough from its veterans tonight. It felt like the talent difference was a lot bigger than it was, and Vanderbilt just got completely dominated in the paint, out-rebounded 37-24. They lost the rebounding battle, the offensive rebounding battle, the second chance points battle, the layup percentage battle by a significant amount. And there was one other stat in there. Front court scoring was one of them. Oscar Tshiebwe and Jacob Toppin combined for 27. Vanderbilt's starting front court of Myles Stute and Quentin Millora-Brown combined for 3 points. Vanderbilt's 7 old guys, Myles Stute, Jordan Wright, Tyrin Lawrence, Ezra Manjon, Emmanuel Ansong, Trey Thomas, and Quentin Millora-Brown combined for 26 points. They shot 1 for 9 from 3, shot 8 for 39 from the field. And that's kind of where this game went off the rails. It felt like Vanderbilt, to compete without Liam Robbins, without Lee Dort, has to be led by its veterans. They have to hit the 3 ball at a high clip. They have to hit a lot of them. They hit 6 tonight, and their veterans combined for 26 points. Their freshmen almost outdid that. Just the 2 of Malik Dia and Paul Lewis almost outscored these 7 veterans, and that can't happen for Vanderbilt, especially in the absence of Liam Robbins, who is Vanderbilt's kind of go-to guy offensively. Somebody has to emerge, and it felt like Tyrin Lawrence was getting there early on, but forced a few things around the rim, forced a few shots trying to be the guy, trying to be the hero. And that was really Jerry Stackhouse's message after the game, was that there were too many guys doing that tonight. There were too many guys trying to be the hero, too many guys taking tough shots and making their teammates watch. Got to get their feet in the paint more. The ball has to move a lot more than it did tonight. Vanderbilt only had 5 assists. Let's see how many turnovers they had. I can't believe I didn't have that prepared. Actually only 4 turnovers, but I think that's also a result of guys just kind of forcing things, taking bad shots. Turnovers inherently are a bad thing, but you can kind of see when a team's moving it quickly how you can turn it over a little bit. It didn't feel like Vanderbilt really did that tonight, and if I told you that they would have a positive assist to turnover ratio with 5 assists on the night, I don't think you would have believed me, and I wouldn't have believed that either. But just felt like Vanderbilt was kind of disjointed for a lot of this game. The front court thing really hurt them. They were just completely dominated, it felt like, in the front court. Quentin Millora-Brown gave some solid minutes. Malik Dia was obviously a bright spot, had 14 points. Felt like he actually did a decent job with Tshiebwe. I thought that would be a matchup that Vanderbilt really wouldn't like. I thought they'd have to go a lot smaller than they did throughout the day. But Malik Dia gave them no reason to do that. He didn't get in foul trouble. He scored at a high level. The shot selection maybe wasn't great, but when they're going in, you have a hard time not keeping him on the floor. And today, certainly a positive day for Malik Dia, his best really game of the year. Jerry Stackhouse was really happy with what he saw from him, although there still are some things to work on there. The shot selection, getting others involved, maybe understanding more of the college offense. Felt like one of his better defensive games of the year. If Malik Dia has 14 and Oscar Tshiebwe has 15, you feel pretty good about that, and I think Vanderbilt and Jerry Stackhouse did in general. So a lot to like there from Malik Dia. Paul Lewis also gave them some really good minutes, started the first half, ended the first half, and started the second half for a freshman point guard on a team with Ezra Manjon. Trey Thomas, Tyrin Lawrence to do that, that's certainly a positive there. And Paul Lewis, just so steady. He had 2 turnovers tonight, but had Casey Wallace on him for a lot of the game, had longer defenders on him, and Severe Wheeler's a guy who gets a lot of steals. So Paul Lewis only having 2 turnovers, his 4th and 5th of the season, certainly good to see. 7 points. He was one of the guys who, when Tshiebwe got switched on to him, looked really comfortable with working with that matchup and kind of making a play out of it. Got 2 easy finishes around the rim, then hit that 3. Although I don't think Lewis is maybe your Darius Garland type, I think he could certainly be a piece of the future, and he showed that today. Malik Dia also showed that, just showed how high that ceiling is with the way he was able to put it on the floor and score, with the way he was able to shoot threes, exploit matchups, and just bang with Sheboy down low. Even when it felt like Sheboy was just so much better and Vanderbilt was outmatched in the front court, Dia gave them some really solid minutes there, and actually Vanderbilt's leading scorer, if I remember correctly. He was. I did not have that on my bingo card, but him being the leading scorer, I think, is more of a testament to Vanderbilt's veterans not showing up today. Vanderbilt shot 6 for 17 from 3. Dia hit 4 of those. Stute couldn't really get it going. It was 1 for 3. Had Toppin on him for a lot of the game and had a hard time getting any separation or getting open looks, really. Jordan Wright, Jerry Stackhouse really went in on after the game, said he would rather see his freshmen go out there and learn on the fly than see his veterans give lackluster effort, and was referring to Wright that whole time, and I assume the rest of the veterans as well. Just seemed really unhappy with what he got from his older guys, and when you have kind of the production they did today, you don't really blame them all that much, especially when you feel like you have a lot of positive momentum coming in this game. You have the student section with the energy drinks. The students were pretty solid tonight. It felt like maybe they had a chance tonight to kind of turn the corner in SEC play. They're kind of at crossroads right now. Do I think that means they're going to be a tournament team if they win this game? No, but it felt like maybe they could have turned things more in the right direction here. If you have a win over Kentucky, you have a win over Arkansas, beat Georgia on the road, you certainly feel good about things, but Vanderbilt tonight missed that opportunity and just felt like it wasn't going to happen as soon as kind of Kentucky went on that 7-0 run right before the half. Didn't look back, and that was about it for this game. It felt like Kentucky really took control there. Vanderbilt had to come out with a punch in the early second half. It didn't. Kentucky started to get things going. Early in the second half, again, there were a few alley-oops. Jacob Toppin made a few plays around the rim, and it felt like Vanderbilt just really couldn't fight back from that, and that's kind of what happened. Vanderbilt lost by 16. Its largest margin of defeat on the season, and just didn't feel like they got enough from the guys that they needed to get a lot from. Even Tyrin Lawrence, who had 12, Stackhouse said in the postgame he didn't think he played very well, forced some things, and it seems like this team, when they're joining at the hip offensively, when they're hitting the 3-ball at a high level and they're shooting a lot of them, is when they're best. And to start the season, I was kind of a stickler for you can't be over-reliant on the 3-ball, but it seems like without Liam Robbins, that's kind of the blueprint for how this team wins games, especially against teams like Kentucky who have more athletes, have more star talent. It seemed like that was the way Vanderbilt was going to get even, and they only hit 6. They shot 17. Just really didn't get a whole lot of good looks from there. 5 assists is not going to yield you a lot of good looks from beyond the arc, and just felt like Vanderbilt really left a lot to be desired offensively, not only on an individual level, but just in the way that they played together, in the way that they shared the ball, in the way that they were, it felt like kind of one-dimensional. It felt like for a while it was sustainable that they were going to the basket, but to beat a team like Kentucky with the talent Vanderbilt has, you got to beat them from beyond the arc. And Vanderbilt, I'm not sure if they hit more threes, but didn't hit enough to stay in this game. And when your two best players, it feels like, are Paul Lewis and Malik Dia, it's great because you would love to see that out of those guys, but also, you know, probably not a great thing because, you know, those veterans have to step up, and this team has to be veteran-led, not only on the floor, but in terms of in the locker room. And I don't know about the locker room today, but it felt like on the floor it was the freshmen leading them. Veterans were kind of stagnant, and it's tough to win that way against Kentucky. It's tough when you're relying on a Jordan Wright, you're relying on Myles Stute. They give you 3 points, or 5 points combined, and Ezra Mannion was all right, got a steal for that fast break, but yeah, just the theme of today was the interior. Vanderbilt's gonna have a lot of trouble. Probably not as much trouble as today down the stretch here with Robbins out and Dort out. You wouldn't think they're gonna see a team like that every night, the number 1 offensive rebounding team in the country. But it does bring up some larger issues of, hey, if Malora Brown gets in foul trouble, if D is not taking great shots, how are you going to rebound with these teams? How are you going to defend these teams? And that's a question that really needs to be answered. And I don't know if Vanderbilt has the answer right now without Liam Robbins and without Lee Dort. So it just feels like the answer may not be with what they have in the front court right now. They might have to go small and have to spread the floor. I thought they would do that a little bit more, trying to get Myles Stute guarded by Oscar Tshiebwe on the perimeter, so he could maybe get some better looks, but just felt like Vanderbilt played into Kentucky's hands a little bit in the front court and didn't yield great results from it. Jerry Stackhouse said in the post game that he's going to have to watch the film on this game, but doesn't want to. Just felt like he was maybe the most disappointed he'd been all year. I think he said something along those lines, that this was the most disappointed he'd been throughout his tenure in a post game, and his team, not only in that they lost, but just the way they kind of handled themselves in terms of what he called a selfish approach. Just felt like a disappointing night for Vanderbilt in general, as they lose 14 straight to Kentucky. Those streaks have to get broken at some point. The programs certainly are not equalized, despite some of the good years Vanderbilt has, despite some of the bad years Kentucky has. Kentucky is still kind of ran this, I don't know if you'd say rivalry, but ran this series, and that series is kind of a harsh reality as to where Vanderbilt is compared to these top programs. You heard way too many Go Big Blue chants in here for Vanderbilt fans' liking tonight. I think Kentucky might have had more media here, so just feels like Kentucky had just completely dominated this night, not only on the floor, but in the stands, and Vanderbilt certainly should not be encouraged by that, and certainly has a lot to work on before Saturday. I'm sure it'll be a tougher week of practice, as Jerry Stackhouse said all those things in the post game about his team being selfish, his team not sharing the ball enough, and his team letting mistakes from the offensive end carry over into the defensive end. It seems like they've got to be a lot better defensively than they've been too. Tonight they were okay. Kentucky shot in the 50s, shot 30-something% from three, if I remember correctly. But they've been winning with their offense, and the offense that they've had may not be the most sustainable type of offense they could have in terms of being a three-point reliant team, where Stackhouse even says they're not a team where you can have guys go one-on-one off the bounce consistently and make plays. Without Liam Robbins, it seems like this offense isn't sustainable. They're going to have to win with their defense, and I think there is a world in which that happens. That certainly hasn't been the world that has been real in the last week or so. They gave up 83 to Georgia, gave up 69 to Kentucky tonight, in a lot of easy baskets. A few second chance points, a lot of looks around the rim for Tshiebwe. I think 36 points in the paint, so defensively they have a ways to go. And also, just feels like they need to not let those mistakes carry over from the offensive end into the defensive end. It feels like the defense is maybe a little more engaged when the offense is going, and kind of had that feel tonight. So Vanderbilt loses, falls to 3-4 in league play, 10-10 total, and has some climbing to do if they want to have any chance of postseason play. Tonight's certainly not a recipe for that, but they will travel to College Station on Saturday to see Texas A&M in a game that's going to be really important for them, really important for its resume, and a lot on the line down the stretch here. If Liam Robbins can't come back until they think he can, maybe he comes back a bit sooner, they're going to have to find answers offensively, and defensively they're going to have to ramp it up as well. Maybe some different looks, maybe some smaller lineups. I don't really know what that looks like, but it can't look like it did tonight if Vanderbilt wants to beat teams like Kentucky, or even beat enough teams to make a push at this thing. So I appreciate you guys watching. God bless. And I think we'll have a presser with Stack on Thursday. Kind of dive more into this game then, but I appreciate you guys watching again. Thanks for the opportunity. Tonight was a really cool night, and I appreciate you guys. Peace.